Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
You was good original crew. It's your boy DJ Nuki, your girl.
Sierra Nicole.
Back on the channel with another
Kid and C original.
Don't hate this time. I did my thing. I did my third dizzle.
You did something.
Alright. Before going back to the channel, man, we got another TikTok video for y'all today. We got, tell me about the worst date you've ever been on. I think we did something similar to this.
Yeah, something similar.
But I want to know about these. Hey, I'm just nosy. She nosier than I am. So
No, I'm not. You are way nosier than I am. Please don't lie.
Let's be real.
Let's be real.
You are nosy.
You are.
No, if I see something, you, what was it? Do you get mad when I don't tell you?
No, that's, oh my gosh, that is you.
Not. That is you, man.
Okay.
So with that being said, before we get into it, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box down below. You already know where to go. If you want to further support, all you got to do is check out the information down below. Also, salute to the comment of the day.
Salute
we
to
highly
you.
appreciate y'all. Y'all keep running us up, man. We're going to always shout y'all out. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, like it in with a thumbs up. We appreciate that as well. But we got, tell me about the worst date you...
Are you good?
No, read it. Read it word for word.
Tell me about the worst date you've ever been on.
That ain't you.
Well, I rated the highest post that
Exactly.
you have ever been on.
Yeah.
That you have.
All right.
It should be V.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's check it out. Let's see what it's about, man.
Tell me about the worst date you've ever been.
Gosh, there was so many terrible ones. How do you choose the absolute worst? Well, this was a low light. Okay, so it's years ago. I'm online dating here in LA. I meet with a guy at a bar that he chose that was close to him. Far drive for me. What a gentleman. A few minutes in, I said, hey, on your profile, you said you've been to Thailand. That's cool. I've always wanted to go. And he was like, it's a bit of a different trip for a man to go to Thailand than a woman. And I said, what do you mean by that? And he was like, do you really want to know? And I was like, yeah, I guess. And he was like, you can get really good hand jobs there for $15. So I made a face. And then he said, don't make that face. They're well taken care of. Well taken care of. Then he asked if I would give him a hand job. I said no. He got the check. We'd only had one sip out of our drinks. When we got to the door, he asked if I would give him a ride to his car, which was a block and a half away. And that was the end of that. Years later, I told this story on a talk show. He found one of my fan pages on Facebook and sent it a message saying, hey, heard you tell that story. Nice that you exaggerated the truth. Ha ha, whatever. Anyway, I wrote a web series. Would you mind watching it and giving me some notes? That, ladies and gentlemen, is dating in LA.
Tell me about the worst date you've ever been on.
It's date number 5. He offers to make dinner. And I'm thinking that things are going pretty well. We're talking every single day. I'm even thinking tonight might be the night. You know what I mean? Like shower, shave, all that good stuff. I'm almost ready to leave. He texts me asking if there's anything special that I want to drink. He's picking up some champagne and I'm like, ooh, you fancy. But then he texts me asking if I can bring my camera, my nice camera. Why? It's not what you're thinking. No, then he proceeds to say, well, I'm trying out for the Bachelorette and I want to have some professional photos. What? Oh my God, you're so funny. Get in my car, head to his place. I get out of the car. He greets me, gives me a big kiss. He's got a bouquet of flowers. We start walking to the front door and then he goes, but wait, where's your camera? Turns out he was not kidding. Boy really did want to try out for the Bachelorette and even made it on the show, but I turned right back around into my car and went home.
Tell me about the worst date you've ever been on.
He already telling you I ain't starting this shit. This just to occupy the time for the moment.
Honey.
He could have turned that into a friendship instead of trying to, you know what I'm saying? He could have been like, hey, shawty, homie.
They're trying to use me for my camera.
But I'm saying, instead, she finna give you something too. You ain't even have to go to Bachelorette.
Stop.
Okay, y'all, I don't want to get in trouble. You're the guy watching this. Absolutely nothing against you. Please don't hate me. So I'm at this dude's apartment, kind of just talking, right? And he mentioned completely out of the blue that he's a SoundCloud rapper. You know, no judgment towards the SoundCloud rapping community. I was like, oh boy, we're having this conversation. So I kind of like asked him more about it and he was like, wait a second, just like wait. And I was like, okay. So he has this little beat going on in the background, like just like this little beat. This man puts his arm around me, looks me right in my eyes, starts freestyling to me. He has like this little beat in the background. He's like, like I'm just looking back at him like, wow.
Twerk. Bro, you so childish.
So childish.
But when she said boop, I said, yeah, twerk. Bro.
Like, it's just so awkward. This goes on for like 2 more minutes. I kid you not. Longest 2 minutes of my life. But it just gets worse. Eventually the track ends. I'm like, oh my god, thank god he's gonna stop. He plays one of his pre-recorded tracks and tried to hook up with me to his music.
Tell me about the worst date you've ever been on.
Yes, of course. I would love to. This happened about 3 weeks ago. So I went on a date with the guy that I met on Hinge, and he took me to the lake in our town. We just walked around the lake. It was a nice time. He was very polite and kind. Okay. And then he took me to get food at Cane's. We just went through the drive-thru, got some takeout, and then went back to my house. And we were sitting at the dining room table, and he saw my giant bong, and he was like, hey, I want to hit that. Let's get high before we eat. I was like, yeah, of course, why not? So I loaded him a bowl. I hit it first, ladies first, and then I gave him the rest. He didn't know how to hit the bong at first, which should have been my first warning, but I taught him anyways, regretfully. He then hit the bong 1 time, and then he got very quiet and stopped talking. I was a little concerned. Then his eyes rolled to the back of his head, and he fell backwards, passed out, and I had to dive and catch his head before it hit the concrete floor. And then he seized up and was unresponsive for 20 minutes, so I had to call 911, and they took him away on a stretcher.
Tell me about the worst date you've ever been on.
Oh, that wasn't funny. I thought he was just gonna be like super, you know, and just be goofing off.
What the fuck was she smoking on?
Or was it his first time?
Here's mine.
So 5 years ago on Valentine's Day, I went on a second date with this guy who was like one of those guys who's like, I'm not super into social media, so I couldn't really vet him. And we like went out to eat, and the drive there was kind of awkward. He like picked me up, got me flowers, was trying to be super nice, but then he got super touchy in the car, and I was like, yeah, like this seems like a little much. And then we got to the restaurant, and he got like extremely rude and was like raising his voice with me and essentially saying like, well, I brought you to dinner, so you need to hook up with me, and like we're gonna go back to my place. And I told him like, yeah, I'm not comfortable. Like the waiter picked up on it and was like, are you okay? And I was like, no. And then I texted my mom to let her know like, hey, this date is going bad. He grabbed my phone and was like, who are you texting? And I was like, I don't feel comfortable going back with you. And he's like, well, what if I don't let you leave? And I had watched enough Criminal Minds to know like, oh shit, this is going to get bad. Okay, part 2. So he grabbed my phone, saw that I was texting my mom, telling her it wasn't going well, and he got like super upset about that and like started yelling in the restaurant. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I was like, this isn't going well. Like, you just need to leave, or I'm gonna leave. Like, I need my bag out of your car. And he just got up, didn't pay for anything, and then he like went in his car and stormed off. So I went up to like the receptionist, called 911, told them what happened. Like, this guy had just stolen my stuff after a terrible date, and they were like saying that they were on their way and they were going to tell him he was going to get charged with a felony because it was over $1,000 of theft. And while I was waiting, the manager of the restaurant was like, oh, that's so-and-so. I was like, no, he told me his name is blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, this guy comes here a lot for takeout. Like, he's a regular. This guy told me he had just moved to the area, so he's completely lying about who he was. Long story short, I talked to the police and I found out that he is like a known sexual abuser, and thank God I didn't go home with it. I was waiting at the restaurant. A couple of my roommates, they knew where I was at on the date, and I had let them know it was going terrible, so they went and came to hang out with me while I was waiting for the police to get there. The police questioned me and everything like that, and then they were able to contact the guy. And he said that he was driving to like cross country to New Jersey or something where he was from. And they were like, you're going to get charged with a felony if you don't bring back your stuff. So he agreed to drop it off at like a Walmart because he didn't want to have any direct contact with the police. And so he did that. I got my bag back. So that was good. The cop said I got really lucky because he had a bad history. And then, he ended up contacting me through like texting apps because I had blocked his number. And so I had blocked all of those. And then about a year later, he made a fake Facebook account, friended a whole bunch of people from my hometown so that I would accept his request. And then was asking me like really invasive questions and was finally like, I'll tell you who I am, but you can't be mad. And then he was like, do you remember that really terrible date we went on?
Tell me about the worst.
That's scary.
Ooh, are we still ain't done with this story?
That's scary.
God damn. Damn. I didn't. Whoo. Yo, that was one of the wildest shit we have ever heard in these story times.
Date you've ever been on.
Thanks for asking, Courtney. Here it is. I met this girl on Tinder. We text for a little while. She's like, let's go get something to eat. So I take her out to dinner. Pick her up from what she said was her grandpa's house. We're at the restaurant, we're eating. And then she looked at me with this face and is like, we gotta go right now. Confused, but I get in my car. As we're driving, I start to realize that this woman had shitted on herself. I later found out that whatever plan that she was on for her diet made her shit uncontrollably. I crack the windows, start taking her ass home. Playing it cool. She lived in this nice ass neighborhood. She invites me in. At this point, I had no intentions to hit. Said her grandpa was gone. She goes upstairs to do whatever she had to do, and her grandpa was indeed gone. While she's upstairs doing her thing, I'm looking around at this nice ass house. But I notice there's only pictures of her and her grandpa. I'm like, shit, I can't leave. So whatever this girl's been through, like, obviously it's a lot of trauma because she only lives with her grandpa. There's no family anywhere else. The grandpa gets home. Me being the respectful young man that I am, I greet him. Hey, sir, my name is... The rest of this will be on my page, part 2. Worst day ever been on, part 2. So I'm like, hey, sir, my name is Ryan. Your granddaughter invited me in. We had something to eat. I was just dropping her back off. She had a little bit of an accident. I was just making sure she was okay. He looks at me, and he's like, draws a gun. Naturally, I think that he thinks I'm a burglar, so I start screaming her name. I also have my gun, but you don't draw on somebody who already drew on you. That's stupid. So I'm like, sir, I'm not a burglar. I didn't steal anything. I promise she's upstairs, and when she comes down here, she'll explain it all to you. He's like, I know you're lying because only me and my wife live here. She finally gets downstairs, explains that she invited me in their home, but says I'm just a friend from college who's helping her on a project and we went to get something to eat. Later explains to him that I only assumed that it was his granddaughter. I never asked. Because he has me at gunpoint, I agree. He puts his gun down, apologizes, I leave to get back into my shitty Mazda 626. Turns out it was her sugar daddy husband. What can I say? You live and you learn.
Tell me about...
I know them.
I
know that alcohol. I know that alcohol, but...
When he said the man came in, I knew it was the sugar daddy. But then
when he said... It first kind of dawned on to me when...
But I didn't think they was going to be married.
When he was like, only me and my wife, I was like, hold the fuck on.
Yeah, that's what
So y'all broke into the house. At one point, my mom went there.
Yeah. But then when he said the pictures, I said, no. See the pictures of him and her. I was like, well, no.
No, and it tricked in my head. Yeah, bro, you knew that was her sugar daddy. She was fucking on his old man. But she wants some young thing, too.
Damn, died.
The worst date you've ever been on.
Alright, so boom, me and this girl both back in town for free. So I text her on my way to the barbershop and be like, are you in town? As soon as I get in the chair, she was like, yeah. I was like, bet. So my barber was like, I'm gonna get you right, bro. And then listen, man chopped me up so nice, bro. I thought I was gonna go and get married. My barber was like, bro, when you get in the car for her, turn that throat, baby. And she liked it, you know how the night gonna go. But I turned it on, she liked it. I was like, alright, bet. She already been talking grease to me anyways. I was like, shit. So boom, we talking and drinking, you know, little simple stuff. We ain't getting too fucked up and nothing like that. Alright, so we get back in the car, trying to make some words into the actions, and then like she was just playing, I'm being all childish and shit. I'm like, alright, bet. So I'm trying to get a kiss, and she kept saying that like an X on my lip. I'm like, bro, you playing too much. They just talking about she got good coochie and she don't want to give me a hook like them other dudes. I'm like, bro, I promise you I won't be at all. So at this point, the mood is dead, and so I'm like, I'm taking her home. So we taking her home, I'm chilling and everything. She kissed me on my cheek and on my neck and every red light, and I'm sitting here like, bro, your time is up. You still going home. And my horny ass did try again when we got to her crib. She has not heard from me since then. It wasn't bad because I didn't hit. It was bad because she being childish and arrogant, and I don't fuck with that.
Tell me about the worst date you've ever been on.
So one time I met this girl on Tinder and she was looking really hot. So we ended up going for the first date. It was a dinner date and she was acting really weird but nice. She offered to pay for all my food and she kept buying me drinks and drinks. And even when I said no more drinks, she just insisted I have more drinks until I pretended I was drunk. To cut the long story short, I ended up in this girl's hotel room and she seemed very, very keen on doing the nasty with me. But she had to go to the loo. So while she was in the loo, a text message came into her phone and I picked it up. It was in a different language, I believe Russian. So I went on Google Translate, pasted, copied the text, pasted it. And the text message said, hold him down. We'll be there in 10 minutes. The way my heart started beating so fast. The way I ran that day, I don't know.
Tell me about the worst.
Hell no, y'all cut it at the wrong. Damn, she set him up. That's why she was trying to get him.
Yes, sir.
Bro, y'all gotta be careful.
Be careful.
Damn, cuz.
Baby, look. Never mind.
And the message was in Russian. Where was he at? Where you from?
They don't, bruh.
That you've ever been on. Here's mine. 2 years ago, I went out with a pilot from Bumble.
I took a girl out to the bar, had some drinks, and she started getting pretty sloshed. She wanted to come back to my place, so I said, all right. And we go back to my place, and she kept drinking. And then she got very drunk and said she wanted to do the nasty. And I was thinking, she's too drunk. Plus, I don't need to catch a case, ever say I took advantage or nothing. So I said, maybe next time, let me take you home. So I took her home, and I go back to my house. I go to sleep. I wake up, and in the morning, I find out that she killed herself. So I get to deal with that for the rest of my life.
Here's mine.
So I picked this girl up from her house for our first date many years ago. Getting to head into a Mexican restaurant about 10 minutes from her house. Conversation to the restaurant is great. We get to the restaurant, they seat us, we're having a good time. We order our food. About halfway through the meal, she goes, "Take me home now." "You okay?" She said, "Take me home." We jump in the car, heading back to the house. About 5 minutes before we get to the house, I hear, "Wee!" "What was that?" She said, "I'm so sorry." Her face turned as red as my hoodie. This lady had pass gas. It sounded like a parrot was giving birth to a squirrel. Well, the smell come and it smelled like fresh baby shit. She rolls her window down and starts gagging. I'm trying not to make a scene because I know she's mortified. I'm gagging because she's gagging and the smells got off. We get to the house, pull up. I jump out to help her out. She darts from my car. She can't make it to the house, stops by her bushes and just dumps everything. To this day, she has refused to text me or call me.
What is the weirdest
Bruh, that would.
Bruh.
The dudes ones were like.
I pray that.
Pray what?
That I'll never have no that bad of a urge that I can't make it. Bruh, that is so.
You can't hold it no more, man. But there was only part one. Let us know in the comments if y'all want part two. If y'all want to see part two, we'll bring that over here for y'all, man.
I want to hear hers, but whatever.
We were done.
I know. I'm saying it had started.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it had clipped to the other one.
Yeah. It's probably in part two. So let us know if y'all want to see part two. We'll bring it. But as always, I do go by the name DJ Nikki. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are. We are, y'all.
Ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partner.